Hello, everyone. Welcome to Learn English podcast.
3 things to help you to improve your English at home. Learn English through podcast.
If you are a young person who is serious about improving your English, but you don't always have access to classes, expensive teachers, or opportunities to travel abroad, then you need to understand something very important. You can transform your own home into the most powerful English learning environment in the world if you know how to use the right tools and develop the right habits. And today I am going to share with you 3 powerful things that will help you improve your English at home. And if you commit to these 3 things with consistency, discipline, and passion, you will see massive progress. And what makes this even more exciting is that you can learn English in a way that is fun, personal, and deeply connected to your daily life. Because learning at home gives you the freedom to create your own style, and technology gives you the chance to learn from the best resources without leaving your room. So let us explore these 3 things in detail. And while we do, I want you to imagine yourself, not as a student who is forced to study, but as a young explorer who is discovering a new world. Because English is not just a language, it is a key that opens doors to knowledge, opportunities, and connections across the globe. And if you are willing to make your home your classroom, then the results will surprise you. The first thing that will help you improve your English at home is making your environment completely English-friendly, because the place where you spend your time shapes the way your brain absorbs information. And if your home is full of your native language and has no reminders of English, your brain will not stay active in English. But if you surround yourself with English words, English sounds, and English triggers, then your brain will be forced to adapt, and slowly English will become part of your daily thinking. And this process is what we call immersion. And the beauty of immersion is that you don't need to live in an English-speaking country to experience it. You can create it right where you are, in your own bedroom, your living room, your desk, and your phone. And it begins with small but powerful actions like changing the language of your devices to English, labeling items in your home with English words, and placing notes or sticky papers with useful phrases around the house so that whenever you see an object, you also see its English name. And by doing this, you train your brain to connect English with reality, and that is much stronger than memorizing lists of vocabulary. And beyond objects, you must also fill your home with English audio, because the more your ears hear English, the faster your listening skills and pronunciation improve. So play English music while cleaning your room, keep English news or podcasts in the background while cooking or relaxing, and let English voices become as familiar as your native language, because your brain learns through repetition. And when English becomes the sound of your environment, it becomes the sound of your mind. And soon you will notice that you start to think in English automatically, without translation. And this is the first big step toward fluency. The second thing that will help you improve your English at home is creating a daily practice system with podcasts, because podcasts are one of the most powerful and underrated tools for language learning. And if you are not already using them, you are missing out on a treasure that can transform your English. And here's why. Podcasts give you access to natural conversations, storytelling, and authentic language that textbooks can never give you. They allow you to hear how real people speak, how they connect words, how they use tone and rhythm. And because podcasts are audio only, they train your listening focus in a deeper way. And the best part is you can listen to them anytime and anywhere, while walking, exercising, or even lying in bed. So you can easily make English practice part of your daily routine without needing extra time. And when you are at home, you can create a powerful habit of listening to at least one English podcast episode every day. And if you want to accelerate your learning, don't just listen passively, but actively engage with the podcast by repeating key sentences out loud, by shadowing the speaker, by writing down new words you hear, and by summarizing the episode in your own words after listening. Because these actions transform listening into speaking, reading, and writing practice all at once. And when you use podcasts consistently, your ears become more sensitive to English sounds, your mouth learns how to pronounce naturally, and your vocabulary grows in context. And unlike boring lessons, podcasts give you the freedom to choose topics you actually love. So if you're into tech, listen to tech podcasts. If you like stories, listen to storytelling podcasts. If you enjoy motivation, listen to inspirational podcasts. And by combining your interests with English, you keep yourself motivated and curious. And that curiosity fuels your progress. And remember, motivation comes and goes, but curiosity lasts longer. And podcasts keep your curiosity alive, which is why they are a perfect tool for learning at home. The third thing that will help you improve your English at home is practicing speaking out loud every single day, even if you are alone. Because many learners understand English but cannot speak fluently due to fear, shyness, or lack of practice. And the truth is that speaking is like exercising a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes, and the less you use it, the weaker it stays. And at home, you may not always have a partner to practice with, but you don't need one because you can practice with yourself, with your mirror, with your phone, or with technology like AI chatbots. And the key is to make speaking out loud a daily habit. So for example, after listening to a podcast, repeat the sentences you liked, mimic the pronunciation, and try to explain the podcast to yourself in English as if you are the teacher. And this self-talk may feel strange at first, but it is one of the fastest ways to train your brain to think in English. Because when you speak out loud, you force your brain to create sentences, to search for vocabulary, and to practice grammar in real time. And this pressure is what creates fluency. And at home, you have the advantage of privacy, which means you can practice without fear of being judged. So use this advantage. Speak every day, record your voice, listen back, notice your mistakes, and improve. And if you want extra support, use apps that allow voice recognition, like speech-to-text tools, where you say something and see if the computer writes it correctly. In this way, you immediately know if your pronunciation is clear. And every day you repeat this, your confidence will grow, and soon speaking English will feel natural, not forced. And you will be ready to use it in real conversations outside your home. And once you begin to combine these three things together, immersing your environment in English, making podcasts your daily companion, and practicing speaking out loud, you will discover that learning English at home is not only possible, but also powerful. Because you are no longer waiting for a teacher, a school, or a classroom to give you permission to learn. Instead, you take control of your own growth, and that sense of independence will make your learning stronger. And I want you to imagine this clearly. Picture yourself waking up in the morning, and instead of opening social media in your native language, you open a motivational podcast in English. You listen while brushing your teeth, while eating breakfast, and those 20 or 30 minutes of listening already give your brain a warm-up in English. And then as you go through your day at home, you see labels on your furniture. You see English sticky notes on your walls. Your phone is in English. Your apps are in English. And suddenly your environment is training you without you even trying. And then later in the day, you decide to repeat some of the podcast sentences out loud. You record yourself, you play it back, and you compare your pronunciation. And every day you repeat this cycle, little by little, consistently, until after a few weeks you realize that your listening has improved, your pronunciation has become clearer, and your confidence has grown. And this is the secret that most people miss. Consistency beats intensity, meaning it is better to practice a little every day at home with these methods than to study for 5 hours once a week and then forget about it. Because the brain learns best with repetition and routine. And when you turn your home into a learning center, English practice becomes as natural as eating or sleeping. It becomes part of your lifestyle, and that is when true fluency begins to grow.
Now, let us go deeper into why each of these three things is so powerful for young learners. Because it is not enough to just know the methods, you need to understand the psychology behind them so that you can stay motivated when the journey feels long. When you surround yourself with English at home, what you are really doing is tricking your brain into believing that English is the normal language of your life. And this is how children learn their first language, not by studying grammar rules, but by living in an environment where the language surrounds them every day. And the same principle works for you, because the brain is a pattern recognition machine. And the more it sees, hears, and experiences English, the more it will accept English as part of its natural thinking. And that is why environmental immersion works so well. It transforms English from being just a subject you study into being part of who you are. And once that shift happens, learning becomes much easier. Podcasts, on the other hand, are like a secret weapon because they train not only your ears, but also your subconscious mind. And let me explain why. When you listen to podcasts, you are not just learning words. You are absorbing rhythm, intonation, speed, and the natural flow of the language. And this is something no textbook can give you, because textbooks show you sentences, but they do not show you how those sentences sound in real life. And that is why so many students who study only from books can read and write, but they struggle to understand when a native speaker talks quickly, because they have never trained their ears. But when you listen to podcasts daily, your ears become sharp, and your brain starts to predict meaning from context. And suddenly you find yourself understanding conversations that used to sound impossible. And if you combine podcasts with shadowing, repeating what you hear, you accelerate even faster, because you are not only listening, you're training your mouth to copy the sounds, and that builds muscle memory for speaking. And this is why many successful English learners say that listening practice was the key to their fluency. And podcasts are the best form of listening practice because they are free, flexible, and available on almost any topic. And finally, speaking out loud at home is the bridge that connects knowledge to fluency, because you can know thousands of words in your head, but if you never use them, they remain locked away. And fluency means being able to unlock them quickly in real time. And the only way to train that skill is to speak, to practice forming sentences, to feel the pressure of expressing yourself. And when you do it every day, your brain gets faster at finding the right words, your tongue gets smoother at pronouncing, and your confidence grows. And young people especially need this because many of you feel afraid of embarrassment. But at home, alone, there is no embarrassment. No one is watching, no one is judging. So it is the perfect safe space to practice. And if you do this daily, you will be amazed how quickly your speaking improves. And when the time comes to talk to real people, you will feel prepared because you have already built your skills in private, and confidence will follow naturally. Now, let me give you some powerful examples of how you can put all of this into action at home. Because theory is good, but action is what brings results. So let's imagine a young learner named Sarah, who wants to improve her English but cannot afford expensive classes. She decides to follow these 3 steps at home. First, she changes the language on her phone and laptop to English. She prints out labels for common objects in her house: mirror, window, chair, table, fridge, and sticks them around. She subscribes to 2 English YouTube channels and 1 motivational podcast. And she sets a goal to listen for at least 20 minutes each morning. And after listening, she repeats 3 sentences from the podcast out loud, recording herself on her phone. Then she plays it back, compares her pronunciation, and tries again. And in the evening, she spends 10 minutes walking around her house, describing what she is doing in English. For example, I am washing the dishes. I am opening the fridge. I am preparing tea. And by doing this every day for 1 month, Sarah notices a big change. She no longer feels lost when listening to English. She feels more confident when speaking, and she begins to think in English during daily activities. And the best part is she achieved all of this without leaving her home, without paying for a teacher, simply by using her environment, her phone, and her voice. And this is exactly what you can do too if you commit to these methods. Another example is of a young boy named Daniel who loves sports but hates grammar books. So he decides to use his passion to learn English. At home, he starts listening to sports podcasts in English every morning. He follows English-speaking athletes on social media, he changes the subtitles of sports documentaries to English, and he creates a small habit of talking to himself about sports news out loud every day. And slowly, without ever sitting down to study, Daniel improves his vocabulary, his listening, and his speaking fluency because he combined the 3 powerful methods: environment immersion, podcasts, and speaking practice into something he loves. And this is why learning at home works best when you connect it to your interests, because then it doesn't feel like homework. It feels like living. And I want you to understand this truth deeply. Learning English at home is not about waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect teacher, or the perfect environment. It is about using what you already have: your phone, your internet, your room, your curiosity, and your voice, and transforming them into tools for growth. And if you are young, this is the best time to do it because you have energy, you have flexibility, and your brain is ready to learn fast. But you must be consistent because consistency is the key that unlocks progress. And if you practice these 3 things every day, even for just 30 minutes, in 1 year, your English will be completely different, and you will look back and thank yourself for starting today. And as we move deeper into this journey of learning English at home using 3 powerful methods, immersing your environment, listening to podcasts, and speaking out loud, we must also understand that success in language learning does not come from talent or luck. It comes from building small habits and maintaining them with discipline. Because every time you choose to listen to English instead of silence, every time you choose to speak out loud instead of staying quiet, every time you choose to surround yourself with English words instead of your native language, you are taking one more step forward. And those steps, no matter how small, add up over weeks, months, and years, and eventually they carry you to fluency. And that is the beauty of learning at home. You don't need permission. You don't need expensive tools.
You only need your willingness to take action, and I want every young learner listening to this to realize that you already have more than enough to begin, because the technology in your pocket, the free resources online, and your own voice are enough to build a powerful system of practice. And the 3 steps we discussed are not random. They are the foundation of language mastery because they covered the 3 main skills: input, environment, and output. And let me explain more deeply so you can see how complete this method really is. When you surround yourself with English, that is input through your eyes. When you listen to podcasts, that is input through your ears. And when you speak out loud, that is output through your mouth. And this combination ensures that your brain is practicing English from every angle. And the more angles you practice, the faster your fluency grows. And many young people make the mistake of focusing only on one angle. For example, they only read English books but never listen. Or they only listen to songs but never speak. Or they only watch videos but never change their daily environment. And that is why their progress feels slow. But when you combine all 3, the progress becomes unstoppable because your brain is being trained in a complete way. Just like an athlete who trains strength, speed, and endurance at the same time becomes a champion, you too will become fluent when you train English through environment, listening, and speaking together. And I want you to feel the truth of this because the future of your learning depends not only on what you know, but also on what you do every day. And this method is simple enough that anyone can do it, even without money, even without a teacher, even without traveling abroad, because your home can become your classroom, your phone can become your teacher, and your voice can become your practice partner. And let me tell you something important for young people. Technology today gives you an advantage that no previous generation had, because never in history has it been so easy to access free English content anytime, anywhere. And podcasts are just one example, but there are also audiobooks, YouTube channels, online radio, language apps, AI conversation tools, and all of these are like treasures waiting for you. But treasures are only valuable if you pick them up and use them. So don't waste this opportunity. Don't waste your time scrolling endlessly in your native language when you could be growing in English. Because your time is your greatest asset, and the way you use your time at home will decide who you become in the future. And if you commit to these 3 methods, you will not only improve your English, but also build discipline, focus, and self-confidence, qualities that will serve you in every part of life. And I know sometimes you will feel tired. Sometimes you will feel like your progress is too slow, but remember that growth is like planting a tree. At first, you water the seed every day and see nothing. But deep inside the soil, the roots are growing. And then one day, suddenly, the green shoot appears. And that is how language learning works too. The daily listening, the daily speaking, the daily immersion may not show immediate results, but deep inside your brain, the connections are forming. The vocabulary is settling. The rhythm is becoming natural. And then one day you realize you can understand a podcast without subtitles, or you can speak without translating. And that moment will be your breakthrough, and it will be worth every effort. Now, I want to remind you of something practical. When practicing at home, set clear goals for yourself, because goals give you direction. For example, decide that you will listen to 1 podcast every day, or speak out loud for 10 minutes daily, or label 5 new objects in your home each week. And when you achieve these small goals, celebrate them, because small victories build big confidence, And confidence is fuel for consistency. And consistency is the path to mastery. And if you are young, remember that time is on your side. You don't need to rush, but you do need to be steady. Because language learning is not a sprint, it is a marathon. And those who stay in the race long enough always reach the finish line. And the finish line in English is not perfection, it is communication. It is being able to express yourself, to understand others, to connect with the world. And the methods you are practicing at home are giving you that gift, the gift of connection, the gift of opportunity, the gift of confidence. And that is why you should never give up, even on the days when you feel lazy, even on the days when you don't feel motivated. Because the future you, the one who speaks English confidently, the one who can study abroad, work abroad, or inspire others, will thank you for pushing through. So, as we come to the end of this long reflection, let us conclude with clarity. If you are a young person who truly wants to improve your English at home, remember these 3 things and never forget them. First, surround yourself with English in your environment. Make your room, your phone, your apps, and even your daily objects a part of your learning. Because the more English you see, the more natural it becomes. Second, make podcasts your daily habit. Listen every morning. Listen while doing chores. Listen before sleeping, because your ears are the doorway to fluency and podcasts are the perfect teacher. And third, speak out loud every single day, no matter how strange it feels, no matter if no one is listening, because every time you speak, you are building the bridge from knowledge to fluency. And these 3 methods together are unstoppable. They will change your English. They will change your confidence. They will change your life. And the best part is that you don't need to wait. You can start today, right now, in your own home, with your own voice, with your own phone, and with your own determination. And if you do, I promise you, your future will be brighter, your opportunities will be greater, and your dream of speaking English fluently will not remain a dream, it will become your reality. And when that day comes, you will look back at this very moment and realize that the decision you made today to practice at home with consistency was the decision that transformed your entire future. So start now, stay committed, and let English open the doors of the world for you.